guess that we need an additional yeah. I know, hang on, you look like different.
Two of our tables is missing.
Yeah, I'm alright with that.
I don't know. He's got one. Where'd you get it? We got another. Yeah, put it up this way.
I was wondering.
I don't know. I'll have to borrow one of those in there and put it back.
Miss Susan. Miss Susan.
Susan.
You look so much better with this white.
There's one in here. I'll get it.
Huh?
There's one in here. I'll get it.
Thank you.
Sorry.
I might need that.
Thank you.
Stay there. Put this pot shit down.
Just try it.
Where are we sitting down? Are you sure? I think we'll wait.
Yeah, we'll definitely wait.
Do we even have that much food?
It's alright. It's alright.
I didn't think about it, and I was down. So I'm like, my only hope is if I run.
It's a little long. It's alright. Give me one. It's a little long. It's alright.
Everybody goes that way. They can
I'm trying to give y'all a minute. I've been sick all week. I'm feeling better.
I've got plenty of
So did anything change? Anything was exciting? You're going down.
We've been texting her and calling her all week. Last night I texted her, and I hope you're ready for what's coming. And she says, good morning.
I talked to hey, good morning. How you doing? I'm good. I'm real good. I talked to my son, and he's in Michigan, and it was negative 23 yesterday morning. So it's hitting them hard.
I think I saw them advertise somebody was going to get like 35.
Well, it wouldn't take, it's probably that and that Upper Peninsula. So, because they always get it, they're so close to Canada, you know, like.
That's what happened when Canada turned off all the heat.
I know exactly. Obviously, we probably shut it off to force them to do something.
Right.
We'll get there in a second.
You know, we're like that.
Right.
Hey, we're a superpower. Wham, you have no money. Well, this was This is the Doppler radar. Submarine. That was an hour ago. Can't be.
My husband was looking at it and says, well, by the time you get to church, the time y'all
Well, that's what they said yesterday. It'll be gone by the time we get out.
maybe rain.
Just the rain. Well, aren't we supposed to get cold like?
Right afterwards, as soon as the rain stops.
Okay, because I have to go home and cover my little hose things. I don't know how low it's going to stay for how long.
Put it there.
25 or 23 is supposed to be overnight, and that'll be like 1 or 2 inches.
It's still freezing.
They say that it'll be, you only get nothing.
That's like the turn press.
Now, let's not do that whole negative whatever, or even in the single digits, and I'm like, no.
Give everybody a few minutes to set at work, just go on, keep working. That's got any new prayer request?
Funeral's Monday.
He passed away. Funeral's Monday. Where's it at? Ryman? Or
Freeman and Biloxi. Boulevard Road.
What road?
Boulevard.
Okay.
Miss Peggy, anybody visit her in the last day or so? How's she doing?
Looks as weak as she can be. John just very weak, but her daughter is literally right by her side, and I'm thankful for that. She's going to be right there and take care of her. Of course, she's got her 2 caregivers that are there on night and day, so she's got it. And we took some food yesterday, but I think they're going to figure out some way to maybe take a couple of meals this week.
Okay, good. I know I've visited her a couple times. I ain't got to see her this week because I've been sick myself.
Yeah.
I'm better though, so don't worry. Just I'm a little stuffy, but I'm alright. I know she's been very happy with church support though. Every time I've talked to her, she talks and talks and talks about all these people coming to see her, and so that's what we always want with this group. We want.
There was one thing that Tuesday morning, which was last week in the hospital, counting Mark who came in, there were 6 of us in that room at that time. And I took a video just to show that there were 6 people, 5 women and Mark who were there around her bedside.
Yeah, that's great.
Encouraging, supporting.
And so we got obviously we got Ralph passed away. We got Peggy, who's winding down. Belinda's still in the hospital, right, Jeff? She's not back home yet. Still in the hospital. And y'all just keep lifting all these situations up in your prayers, please. Anything else?
Joan, I haven't heard.
Joan is still in the rehab place. I haven't seen her this week because I've been under the weather. But last week she seemed to be doing better.
She seems to be improving each week.
Yeah, she's better.
Anybody else? All right, Max. Can I get you to lead us in a prayer, Max? Can you lead us in a prayer, please?
Yes, sir. All righteous Heavenly Father, we come before you in a prayerful mood. Help us to remember that Christ died for our sins, and we're here to learn more of the Scriptures. And as we come, help us to be strong Christians, good examples to others. Please be with our congregation. Please be with those that are sick. Christ, we pray. Amen.
Amen. All right. Oh, so I put these scriptures up on the board that we've already done. Not to confuse everybody, this was not the reading for today, but I just want you to look at it and kind of recall your mind to the story, so we can try to keep everything in context, right? All these initial couple weeks are all about Jesus' birth account, John the Baptist's birth account, and just try to keep the whole storyline in your mind as we're moving through these segments like this, because all these things are important and they build on each other. That's what we did. That's what we did last week. Obviously, we ended. We kind of ended with Jesus' presentation at the temple, and remember that was day 40 in the account. And in today's reading is really got to do with the Magi and then their trip to Egypt and things of that nature. I broke these out for a reason, and most everybody in this room does know. But this account of the shepherds and the birth of Jesus, it really is separate from this account of the Magi in that visit. Two different times in Jesus's in his young adult years. So our first text there would be starting in Matthew 2, and most of our text for today is from Matthew 2. We might not get to this temple account because we're running a little short on time today, but we'll see. So the first thing that we come up on in the reading today is really about these wise men or these magi. What do we know about these people? Does anybody know any historical context surrounding them? Did anybody read up on that?
Historical, I mean, they're supposed to be astrologers from the East.
Yeah, so they're people from the East. There's a lot of times when we read the New Testament, we assume that Rome ruled the entire world during this time, and that's really not true. There was this other empire called the Parthian Empire, and they were the other kind of power during the time. So these folks may have very well came from there. Doesn't tell us how many or anything like that. It just says wise men or magi. And this may, these guys may go all the way back to the account of Daniel. When Daniel was made captive in Babylon, and he had to be there and endure, and he might have taught about things like that 70 weeks prophecy, and the rising of the scepter from Judah. And these people may have very well been watching and waiting for his prophecies to come true from that Persia area. We don't know, but there are some like simple things that we can consider. There was just to talk about another reference for y'all. The person that we always talk about with an outside of the Bible account is Josephus, and he wrote about the iniquities of the Jews. In book 14, he gives some context about Herod, which I think is important to this account. So he talked about how 35 years before Jesus was born, that the Parthians invaded Judah, and they captured Jerusalem, and they forced Herod to flee. So this same guy, 35 years ago, he was forced from his position of ruler. So when he sees a delegation of important people coming back into town, then no wonder he's troubled, because he probably thinks they're trying to remove him from his position again.
For one, he raised Jewish. He was raised in the Jewish faith. He knew a lot about it. And he was appointed by the Romans.
Yeah.
So this appointment could have gone bye-bye any time. He even had his wife killed when he thought she was taking it over.
Yeah. Rome give him an army. They give him some military guys to take back. So just think about it. Think about different, more relatable context. Think about the Cold War. A lot of people in here remember that, right? Think about like a delegation from the Soviet Union coming to Washington, D.C. and walking up in the White House and saying, "Where is the new president?" Right? Because these people are looking for the king of the Jews, right? That's the level of tension these people are kind of bringing to the setting. And sometimes we just read over it and we don't catch that. So who are they looking for?
King of the Jews.
Yeah, they're looking for a king of the Jews. And that gets back to the question of how do they even know there are these people from the East, right? And that's why I say there could be some Daniel connections. We don't really know. But they know they see a star in the sky, and they're going to follow it, and they're looking for a king. And so when you're Herod and you're the king, and guys roll into town and they're saying, "Hey, where is the king of the Jews?" That's going to put you on edge, right? It is. Herod, where this Christ was to be born. let's see. I just want to, before we go on to the next account, I just want to go back. I just want to revisit this word for a minute. Because these people are, they're looking for the King of the Jews, but what are they coming to do? Like, why are they coming? To worship him, right? That's why they're coming, because they want to worship Jesus. I want to think about this word again for just a second, because it's very different. What they're going to do is very different than our kind of understanding of it sometimes. Here's the Strong's word, Strong's number. It's the Greek word proskuneo, and it means to crouch, bow, prostrate yourself on the ground. Strong's and Tyre's Greek lexicon, two very reputable sources defining the word. The other one says to kiss, the hand to fall upon the knees and touch the ground with the forehead. That's what these guys are coming to do. They're coming to find Jesus, and they're coming to put themselves on the ground in reverence before him. That's what they're coming to do. They're not coming to have a church service. They're coming to bow down to him. So Herod is inquiring of his, of the chief priest and the scribes and stuff, and he gets an answer he don't really like. They tell him this prophecy, right? Verse 6, "And you, O Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah, for from you shall come a ruler who will shepherd my people Israel." And so Herod, he's hearing things. We're coming to worship this king, and now his own people are telling him, like, hey, a ruler's coming. And what do we know? What do we think? What do we know about Herod? We keep talking about these people in context of like good traits. Is he a good character or a bad character? What kind of vibe are we getting? What do we say?
Well, he took an army from Rome to gain his power, so.
Yeah. I mean, well, it'll work itself out in the story in a minute, and we'll see what kind of guy this is. But the kind of hints that we're getting so far in the biblical context are not that good. Then Herod summoned the wise men secretly in ascertaining from what time the star had appeared. And I highlighted that for us. When you do stuff in secret, is that usually are you usually trying to do something on the up and up, or you usually got something up your sleeve? Plotting to do something, right? And Matthew makes sure to tell us that. He summons these guys in secret. And once again, when we do things in secret, most of the time, it's because there's something to hide. We're trying to do something that's not on the up and up, and we're going to see that come true here. What's Herod want them to do? He wants them to go find Jesus, come back and report to him. Well, he doesn't say he wants to kill him. He says he wants to worship him. Okay, Herod. Okay, I'm sure you want to worship Jesus too. But that's what he says. And we know the rest of the account, right? That right there that's just a straight, bold-faced lie. Right? It is. And so these wise men, they listen to him. Of course, they're standing there in front of this king. They kind of have to listen to him because they're not in their own neck of the woods. They're in Herod's neck of the woods. So they have to listen to him, but then they leave.
Well, at that time, don't you think they kind of believed him? Because they didn't change their minds until the angel came to them.
Yeah, I mean...
So I think they didn't realize how dishonest a person he was.
Well, I'm sure Herod's reputation precedes him in the rest of the world. But yes, I mean, these guys, they might have heard something. about a prophecy. They maybe, but they're just following a star in the sky, and wherever
we think of
wherever
that
it
as
leads.
just a star. They said it could have been a light, like a beam. It said it's not necessarily like what we thought of as a star. It could have been a light that came up to guide them as they came.
Yeah, it's hard to say exactly what it looked like or what exactly it was. They call it. It says a star, but when I think about it, if I'm looking up at the sky and I see a star, I don't even know that I'd know how to follow it, right? So it probably was something very much more prevalent that they knew, like, hey, this is something supernatural. This might be from God. I'm gonna follow it.
Would you say there's a sort of analogy here with God leading the Israelites out of Egypt?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. A lot of times during the Bible, we see accounts like this with people following a light or a star or a fire sometimes, right? Remember, God is behind the scenes. This is the birth account of the Son of God. Now God's pulling the strings here. So after they left Herod, right? This star. It says when they saw the star, they rejoiced exceedingly. And then they go into this house. Look at verse 11 there. The star led them right to the house. And going into the house, they saw the child and Mary.
You notice they were in a house now.
Yeah.
They were no longer in the barn and the manger. They were actually in a house now.
Probably 2 years later.
Yeah. And we'll reference in a minute and talk about why it wasn't the same as the birth account. But the child and Mary, notice it doesn't even say Joseph there. He might have been in the house, maybe not. But it says the child and Mary. Going into the house, they saw the child with his mother Mary, and they fell down and worshipped him. And they do a better job of defining it here. Like, these people go in the house and they literally get down on their face. That's what they're doing. Here's some kind of literal versions, 2 different literal version accounts of that same text, and I just put them up there so you can kind of read for yourself. One of them comes from Rotherham's literal. In falling down, prostrated unto it, meaning Jesus. Young's literal, in having fallen down, they bowed down to him. So they're literally on their face before this child, is what they're doing.
But they didn't come empty-handed.
They didn't come empty-handed. They did not. And so I put a picture up here for you. Yeah, obviously but important people. And now they're in this house, and they're on their face before this baby. It kind of paints a picture of how important this child is. And so, let's talk about those gifts for a minute. I know people have mentioned wanting to talk about the gifts. These wise men present some things to Jesus and to Mary. What were they?
Frankincense and myrrh.
And so, why do we think this is happening? Like, what's the point of that?
It's the first baby shower.
What? Say that again, Lord.
I said, God is protecting them because he's going to give Mary and Jesus the money to escape and then to come back later.
And those
Yeah.
very valuable gifts that you would give to someone royalty.
Yeah. And so I think y'all are hitting the nail on the head with this. I liked Laura's answer. She said it was the first baby shower. We know the next couple verses that come after this gift presentation. And this is a very poverty-stricken family. And they're going to need some things to support themselves because they're about to go on a long trip. And they don't have anything. So you think about God and how he provides. We talk about God providing support and his ways of doing things sometimes. And God God's providing for Mary and Joseph and Jesus here because they're going on a trip through the desert here in just a minute, and they have to have some resources. So gold, frankincense, and myrrh, frankincense, and I'm having a brain fart. Myrrh, yeah. These are very valuable things that they can barter, that they can sell, that they can get, that they can attain the resources they need with. So we talk about Jesus' age here, like how old is he? We don't truly know. We know that the purification happened on day 40. And we know that when Herod issues his death decree here shortly, he goes with a 2-year timeline, right? And so we know it's somewhere between day 40 and year 2. We don't know the exact age, but it wasn't when he was just born.
Well, experience the terrible twos.
Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? And so these wise men, they've come and gone at this point. You know, this would have been something special for Mary, obviously, seeing more people now come and bow down to Jesus. You know, she talked to her. Royal people are coming to bow down to him. I think they're painting a good picture for her here. So the Magi depart, and then Joseph he has an account with the angel again, right? And what's the message from the angel?
Get up, take the child and his mother and flee to Egypt.
Yeah.
Get
Yeah.
Get out.
There's the angels, and once again, remember, I'm not going to read every verse for verse. And this ain't the first time we've ever seen, God tell somebody to get up and go. But this is rather urgent. They departed. Behold, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream. Rise, take the child and his mother, and flee to Egypt. When you're fleeing? What does that mean?
You're getting out of herd.
Yeah, he didn't play the child, and he's going to destroy him. And well, we'll put a reference up here for Joseph again. But did Joseph say anything? Is there?
He's a man of little words, I think.
He just said yes.
Exactly. The man never talks. He just does. Every time God tells him something, he just does it. Just does it. And there's a prophecy attached to this. Verse 15. So they went to Egypt, and they remained there until the death of Herod. This was to fulfill what the Lord had spoken by the prophet. Out of Egypt I called my son. Every one of these things that's going on. Remember, I keep saying it, but God is pulling the strings here. Everything that needs to happen is going to happen. Because this is the when we're reading about Jesus and we're reading about his journey to the cross, we're reading the climax of the whole Bible. It's the most important part in the whole book, in these gospel accounts. And really the climax is when he goes to the cross. But, all these things have to work out. And so I don't know if y'all can see that. I put a map back up here for us. So they're right here. They remember last week they traveled from Nazareth down to Bethlehem. So they're down here in this area, and they tell them to go to Egypt. And notice it in caravans, this would take a couple weeks to get down there, whereas we can just do that in a day. But remember, there are, we were talking about though. So it ain't like nobody's ever traveled to Egypt before. There's a whole lot of Jews down here in Egypt. Some people estimate maybe 1 million down there living. So there are routes, so they would know the path to travel, but that don't make it easy, right? Just because they got a path through the desert. Yeah. Well,
And there were actually 6.
He wasn't born into it. He was appointed into it, so that appointment could move at any time. And the reference that I read said he'd already killed some of his own sons and his wife if he thought they were going to take him over. Now, here's a king of all these Jews being born. He wants it eliminated.
yeah. It's a bad man.
Very insecure.
And so Herod, he realizes what? These wise men, they didn't come back to him, did they? And then at some point he realizes, like, hey, I've been tricked. They ain't coming back. You know, maybe
Didn't the angels in a dream come to him and tell him?
they did, yeah.
And told them they'll go back to him.
Yeah.
Go the other way.
Yeah, and they're wise enough to listen. And so they didn't go back to Herod. You know, it's interesting though, Herod takes this action against the kids. He must believe it. Part of him believes it. You know, he believes that he has to believe that there's this kid
He knows the
that
promise.
he knows. And so he knows and he still takes this action. He's like, yeah, prophecy, whatever. Like, nobody's taking my throne. And so it says what? He realized he was tricked. He became furious. And once again, we always talk about this kind of anger leading to bad things, right?
One account said it could have been anywhere from 18 to 30 babies that he killed.
Yeah.
Said it wasn't a huge area. And for that time period, said it could have been between 18 and 30 children that he killed.
Yeah.
Boys.
It says he killed all the male children in Bethlehem and in that region who were 2 years old or under, according to the time he had ascertained from the wise men. So Bethlehem, these towns are not, she's exactly right. These towns are not huge towns. They're not big giant towns. It's not like, you know, Long Beach, who has like 8,000 people, or Gulfport that has 50, right? These are towns of 1,000 or less sometimes. So, you know, all the real smart people that do these calculations, almost all of them say 100 or less. And I'm not minimizing killing 100 kids. This is awful. This is a tragedy. But it wasn't thousands and thousands and thousands.
But if this was a small area, all these people knew all these babies, these children coming up. So can you imagine the effect on them when they came in there and slaughtered all these children?
Yeah, it almost makes it even worse because it's so personal, right?
Well, they use the criteria to know if they're
Probably just how they look, honestly. In these small towns with so few people, though, like they probably know when they probably know the ages of these kids. Because once again, it's not like here where there's babies everywhere. Like you would know the people around that had small kids. I'll give you a. Next week we're going to talk about John the Baptist. It's John the Baptist week. I'll give you a little homework assignment. Where's he at during this? Because he's already born and he's under 2. Do some digging and see if you can learn anything about it. There's some very interesting stuff from other sources out there about.
But is part of the family gone to a different area for their census?
Well, we'll talk about it next week when we get to the John the Baptist account. I just want y'all to read about it and think about it, because he's in the area. He is in the area, and this death decree is issued. Hold on. Did I miss anything? So all the kids that are 2 years, he don't even care about firstborn. It's all the males, all of them. And then we got this verse 18. A voice was heard in Ramah, weeping and loud lamentation. Rachel weeping for her children. She refused to be comforted because they are no more. What's that about? How do we tie that in?
Rachel was the mother of Israel. These were all Israel's
because she was the mother of Jacob, who would become Israel. And so they looked at her as a very important person. And she died giving birth, if we remember the account. She died giving birth to Benjamin. But yeah, I think the writer's just making a point to use her and instead of make this a small town event, make it into a national type kind of cry, because these babies are getting killed. But I don't know if anybody's got anything else on it that they might want to add. No? All right. We'll move along then. So Mary and Joseph and Jesus, they're down in Egypt. In verse 19 there. And Herod dies. And once again, how many Herods are there? 7. Right? There's a lot of Herods there's a lot of head. And we don't know how much time has passed. We don't know how long they were in Egypt for. But we know they were there long enough for him to die. And once he dies, the threat's gone. So, angel comes back to Joseph again. And what's he say? Yeah, get up. You think Joseph would be getting tired of this by now, right?
Don't you think it's rather unusual too that in all the references it says you go and you take the child, not your child, because he wasn't his child.
Yeah.
Take the child and his mother. You know, the ownership was very specific.
It is. And I say that even like he really is. And he doesn't say anything. He doesn't. He might have said one word that's recorded in the Bible, and I'll point it out to you in a minute. But like the man, he just keeps doing exactly what he's told to do. And so they leave Egypt.
And these other children. There's nothing mentioned about it.
Yeah, it does. Maybe, because they do have children. I mean, we know they have children. But we don't know how long this was. I get the idea that it wasn't like a week, like this was a long period of time.
We know it was less than 12 years because at 12 years they were in the temple.
Yeah.
And if it was already 2 when they went there, we're down to 10 years there. So I would say it was probably about 7 or 8 years.
Yeah. And so they're living somewhere 7 or 8 years. I mean, you can bet they probably had kids. But yeah, so they're back in Nazareth, right? And once again, connected with prophecy, he went and lived in a city called Nazareth so that what was spoken by the prophets might be fulfilled, that he would be called a Nazarene. So we're connected with everywhere: Bethlehem, Egypt, Nazareth, right? Some people, this would probably confuse some people that weren't super familiar with the Old Testament prophecies. They're like, "Where's the kid from? Is he from Bethlehem? Is he from Nazareth? Is he from Egypt?" Like, because we keep saying this stuff, but like there's scripture connections to all of them. Luke's account, this is once again it's a good point for why we do this chronologically, because we just read all that in Matthew, but Luke, his account. This is just following that purification. And he just simply says, when they had performed everything according to the law of the Lord, they returned to Galilee, to their town of Nazareth. And the child grew and became strong and filled with wisdom. And the favor of God was upon him. So sometimes if we don't study chronologically, we just miss that whole story. And we want to keep these things in context in our mind. So I just threw this up here about Joseph real quick, and we might be able to get through our temple account because we moving rather quickly. Back in Matthew, I cut some verses off here, but here's things that Joseph was told. The angel said, "Take Mary as your wife," and what did he do? Didn't talk. He took Mary as a wife. Flee to Egypt. He rose and took the child. Go back to Israel. Once again, he's not talking in any of this stuff. The only thing that we actually know that he might have said was Matthew 1:25, and he called his name Jesus. That's the only thing that we can really associate with actual words that Joseph said. We're going to name him Jesus.
Well, that was the most important.
Yeah. So that's
You
the
have that name.
that's the only thing that he had to get right.
Yeah.
And you know, he strikes me as a person. It might be different. It might be different because you're just reading text, but he strikes me as a person that didn't have a lot of words, that just said what needed to be said and acted a lot. We can talk about this real quick. The temple account is, it kind of wraps up Jesus' early years of what we have recorded in the Bible. And so they're at the Passover. This is really how we count time in Jesus' life, is Passovers, because we can read about 4 Passovers in the Gospels. So you got this one in the early years, and then you have 3 others that you can read about. And so that's when we say Jesus' ministry was 3.5 years. We're really gauging that off Passover timeline, because it is pretty clear. So they're at the Passover. He's 12 years old. He didn't go back home, did he? So what does Jesus do in the account? Somebody tell me. Somebody's ready. What's he do?
He's talking to the elders of the church, answering questions.
Yeah, he's in there listening, answering questions.
Because they were amazed at his young age how much he knew.
Yeah, see down here, listening to them and asking them questions, and then the next text it talks about how they were amazed. It's funny that they didn't notice he was gone.
That was the thing Freddie and I were talking about yesterday. How could you miss your child for that many?
Well, if you have a lot of children,
Well,
you have
it's
a lot
like-
of caravan, they could get mixed up with all the kinfolks. That's what they thought.
Yeah, so they didn't travel. When they travel in these routes, it's not just Mary, Joseph, and Jesus. They often travel in large groups, right? And they just, I mean, I don't know how to explain it other than they just didn't notice he was gone.
I think it was meant to be, because I don't care how many people were traveling. I would not be going off and not knowing where my kid was.
I took mine twice after the house that was out.
Yeah.
This is what happened to Michelle one time. They're going in a caravan on a field trip. And her son said, I want to go ride with so-and-so. They stop at a store. And she said, okay. So he goes over, the lady said, we don't have enough room. Instead of going back to his mama's car and getting it, he goes in the store. They all drive off. He gets left. She gets down the road, mother's intuition, she's going, I better check that car, make sure he's in it. He wasn't. She got back, there's the cop standing with their son saying, is this yours? So if they're traveling in a large caravan of people, they could think he's over here with
They could
other family.
They could have easily just thought he was with some other family and then left him.
It's like today, all the kids stick together. The kids were over here in one area,
But,
and they'd already traveled all day.
yeah. All right, well,
They
let's.
traveled all day before that night when they got ready to go to bed. He wasn't there.
Yeah, let's get finished up with it. Let's get finished up with the text. The point is, they left him. They left him, and it took them 3 days to find him.
I wondered the population of Jerusalem at that time, why did it take so long, 3 days to find him if the city was, how big is that city?
I mean, Jerusalem's pretty populated. I don't have the number, but it's not like the small towns. Like it is hustling and bustling for sure. The people that are listening to Jesus in the temple, though, they're amazed at his understanding and his answers. And so even these people, even the leaders in the temple at the time, they're starting to realize this kid's something special. Like he seems different. He seems unique, right? Mary and Joseph get back down there, right? Why have you treated us so? Your father and I have been searching for you in great distress. It's just like any other parent. They were probably a little upset. Like, where you been, right? Why didn't you just come with us? You knew we were leaving. And Jesus says something interesting. He says, why were you looking for me? And mom was probably like, excuse me? I'm about to whoop your butt. Did you not know that I must be in my Father's house? Right? You know, that's a powerful statement at the time. And Mary knows. She's still connecting these dots in her mind. But this is one of the first accounts where Jesus is actually connecting himself with God as the Son of God. Notice verse 51. And he went down with them, and he came to Nazareth and was submissive to them. And his mother treasured all these things in her heart. Jesus don't have to go back home with them. He don't. Remember, this is 12-year-old Jesus, but Jesus is also the most powerful being that's ever walked the face of the earth. He don't have to do anything. And he chooses to be submissive to him and go back. So what would he be doing? The text tells us he increased in wisdom and stature and in favor with God and man, kind of how the other writer just left off. He's just going to grow up at this point. He's going to point out with this text is this is the age where males would start going to all these feasts. And so by the time when we pick up Jesus again, next week we're going to talk about John the Baptist, but when we pick up Jesus again, he's going to be 30 years old. And he's 12 here. But in between that time, Jesus would go back to Jerusalem multiple times per year. And how do we know that? Because he kept the law. And he kept it perfectly. And he's required to go back for the Passover, for the Day of Atonement, for the Feast of Booths, for all these other, all these feasts. And so do you think he goes back to the temple probably? By the time Jesus is 30, these people that lead the temple, these scribes, Pharisees, Sadducees, all these people, they're probably very familiar with him by the time we pick him up again, because he's that boy that's been asking them questions his whole life, some of which they probably didn't have answers for.
Look at verse 52, the last 3 words of it. In favor with.
Yep.
And
in education and doing good things like that, you think highly of a kid that's living in that kind of way. So I'm sure he was probably well liked when he was probably respected as he was coming up. I just put this up here for y'all's reference because once again we count by Passovers and you can see 4 of them in Jesus' life. And you can we'll make note of those. We'll make note of those when we come up on them. But it's a good way to count. It's a good way to break Jesus' life into segments. Is what he did in between Passover to Passover. All right, there's your text for next week. We'll do a quick review, but we're going to talk about John the Baptist next week. There's all the text for it. And I will post that on the church chat like I've been doing. Y'all can take a picture of it or whatever. Thank y'all so much for your time and for being here.
I forgot my bikes in the car after all. See, I told you it was going to happen. At least they were in the car. I'm glad.